Now that we've fixed up our tests, I think now is a good time to revisit and make everything render again in the browser. Before we do that, I'd like to point out one thing. We are emphasizing immutability here by creating a new state, updating the new state and pushing it in. However, if we were truly doing a proper functional kind of style, what we would actually do here is return a new board from the makeMove function, and then we would use that new board to update the state somehow. Because Vue's reactivity is based on mutation, you can't really do a fully functional immutable style in it. However, we can still use these benefits such as immutability to create a new board here and get some very easy to implement features such as undo and redo. I will talk about a bit more of the hardcore functional and immutability stuff in the future, but not right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and get something rendering. I'm going to head over to my app.vue file, and this is what we currently have. Let's go ahead and grab the current board variable instead, and we're also going to grab makeMove so we can update the board. I'm going to update this by returning current board and makeMove, and the next thing we're going to have to do is figure out how we're going to call makeMove. We're going to replace this one with current board in here, and if we save this off, we should actually see something in the browser working now. I'm going to head back to my browser, and you can see everything is now working correctly, exactly as we expected it to be. The next thing we need to do is listen for a click and then update the board correctly. So what I'm going to do is jump inside of here, make this a little bit more readable, and we're going to have a click listener here where we're going to call makeMove. And we have to pass in both the column and the row. So we have to have some way to get those. What we can do is actually use v4 to our advantage. It turns out there's actually a second argument to here. We're going to grab row and I, and that's going to be the iterator, so 0, 1, or 2. And we can do the exact same thing down here. We're going to have column and j. Now we can just say column is going to be j, and row is going to be I. And if we've done everything correctly, this is actually going to work. Let's save it off and try it out. If we head back to the browser now, I should be able to click on these and make a move. That is working, however, we're using the same counter for each of the moves. Obviously this is a bug, so let's go ahead and write a quick test to make sure this doesn't happen again. I'm going to head back to my tests, and we can see we have a good start to a test here. We have the first makeMove. Let's go ahead and call it one more time, and then make sure the board is updated correctly as well, so it should be up here. What I'm going to do is say makeMove again, and we're going to pass in column as, let's say, 1, and the row is going to be, let's say, 1 as well. And let's go ahead and write the new expected state as well. So I'm going to have a new variable here called new expected. Probably not the best variable name, but it's enough to get us started here. We can go ahead and refactor that one later on. It's going to be very similar to this state. We're now going to have x in the center of the board. Let's go ahead and write our final assertion. And it looks like I've actually deleted my assertion, not really a good thing to do. Let's go ahead and just copy one and make it work. Jump up here and use my assertion. We're going to expect current board value to now be equal to the new expected value. So let's go ahead and wipe this one out and just say to equal and pass in the new expected value. If everything is going according to plan, I should be able to save this one off now, and everything should still be passing. It looks like it's failing, and that's because we haven't actually implemented this feature yet, so that's a pretty obvious thing to happen. Let's go ahead and fix that one up now. All we need to do is jump in here and say current board.value. It should be current counter.value, and we're going to make this one equal to 0 or O if it's X, and if it's X, it's going to become O. So we're going to have to do a check in here. I'm going to say current counter.value is triple equal to 0. If that is the case, it's going to become X. Otherwise, it's going to become O. And this should be enough to get our test passing. Let's go ahead and save it off and see what happens. Everything is now passing. As a final check, I'm going to come back to my browser, and we can see that it's now working correctly as well. We probably need to have some feature or some check to make sure you can't override another counter. At the moment, I can constantly click anywhere I want and place a new counter. That's going to be something we add in a future lecture.